This video has the best controller settings you'll ever use, including new tweak zone settings for crazy aim, build and edit settings for consistent, fast piece control, and 3 different options of pro settings coming from the best players in Fortnite. So all I ask is that you help me hit 400k subscribers before the end of the summer. That's my #1 goal right now. So if you subscribed, then thank you so much. And now this is where the settings will start. So these will work whether you play on PS4, PS5, Xbox, or controller on PC like I do, including the graphic settings where I actually set my brightness to 150% to make sure I can see absolutely everything. And now over to the audio tab. The main setting that actually got nerfed this season is visualize sound effects. Fortnite nerfed this setting so hard, so now it's more important than ever to make sure you have a good headset and clean audio. So personally, I put my sound quality on high, I turn 3D headphones off, and then the 2 sliders that matter the most to hear footsteps in your enemies is gameplay and main. You want to make sure these 2 specific sliders are up pretty high because you need to be able to hear this season. And so whether you're playing on a PC or a console, another way you can actually increase your performance is literally by cleaning your system with an air duster. And this one is crazy. So Wolfbox is quickly sponsoring this part of the settings to show the Mega Flow 200, which is on sale right now for Prime Day, and I genuinely think every gamer could use one of these. It easily cleans out your PCs, consoles, controllers, keyboards, dust from your monitors. Literally any tech you have, this can clean with super powerful compressed air. And the reason you want compressed air to clean your technology is because it doesn't damage it whatsoever. It easily cleans out all the dust to make sure your technology is running at maximum performance. And so Prime Day only lasts until June 26th, so if you want the best deal, go check it out now with the link in the comments for up to 50% off all Wolfbox products during Prime Day. And now that my PC is clean, we can honestly skip past the communications tab and get to the game tab. And some of the settings in here can literally make or break you on controller. You need to make sure you have proper settings. Toggle sprint turned on to make sure you can easily edit and build in the middle of sprinting. Auto open doors I like to have on. That's more of a personal preference one. Hold to swap pickup is always useful. And auto pickup weapons. This setting is honestly kind of controversial, but I think controller players should use this. Literally all sweaty keyboard and mouse players use a automatic pickup macro, so if they land on a chest, they will get the loot before you do every single time if you're just sitting here trying to click square to pick stuff up. But the one way that controller players can compete is using auto pickup. You just run over the loot and it automatically gets sucked up in your inventory. And this auto pickup setting is literally the only reason I actually feel comfortable 50-50ing random people in ranked games and tournaments. It does take a little bit to get used to, but if you use auto pickup weapons, make sure you turn off preferred item slots. If you have preferred item slots turned on and auto pickup turned on, your whole inventory is going to be constantly messed up. And once you actually get used to this setting, it's very useful. Continuous fire should be off for most controller players. Most controller players can just spam click their triggers faster than this setting will actually do. For building though, simple build, obviously we'll want this turned off. Reset building choice on, turbo building turned on. For editing, simple edit is actually not that bad. I don't like simple build, but simple edit is actually kind of interesting, especially if you play on controller and you're kind of naturally slow at editing. Simple edit is not bad at all. Personally, I've been playing this game for so long though that I'm not going to use simple edit. And then I also like to disable pre-edits on controller, especially if you're any higher than like 30 ping. You just accidentally pre-edit a bunch of your builds, and auto confirm edits for most controller players set this to bold. Even pro keyboard and mouse players have now switched to using auto confirm edits. It makes both editing and resetting just way faster and way easier. And if you don't know what this setting actually does, it's really simple. All it means is you click your edit button, then you select your tiles, and as soon as you let go of the trigger after selecting your tiles, it automatically confirms the build for you. You don't have to click another button. And it's the same thing for resetting. You click your edit button, and then as soon as you click your reset button, you don't have to confirm it. As soon as you let go of the reset, it automatically confirms it for you. The reason I have mine set to edit is because if you have the Scuff Omega, over in my binds under edit, right here where it says reset building, this is a 1-button controller reset. So I set this to right on D-pad, and then I remap this side button to also be right on D-pad, which means if I have a build right here, all I have to do is click this one button and it instantly resets it for me. That's why I can do stuff like this so easily. And then what I can also do is do edits like this. That's just an advantage of having side buttons on your controller though. That's why I really love this controller. Now getting over to the bottom of the game tab, I like to have tap to search and interact turned on. This makes it a lot easier for controller players to loot. And if you're interested, these are my replay and energy saving settings. Now over to the game UI, my tab, the only stuff that really matters over here is I like to have my damage number scale turned all the way up so I can make sure I see when I hit someone for shotgun damage. And then I like to have my HUD scale at least 80%. I think 80% is a good sweet spot. Otherwise, the next tab over is touch and motion, which all you want to make sure you do over here is turn off gyro aiming. Gyro aiming is not good whatsoever. It completely throws off your aim. The only time gyro aiming is actually useful is if you play on the Switch. Otherwise, just turn off gyro aiming and leave it at that. Then we have mouse and keyboard controls, and finally the controller tab. And so here is where I'm going to give you 3 different sets of settings that you can copy, and you can get insanely good on all 3 of these settings. Just watch this. We're going to start with Curve's settings. Curve is probably the #1 controller player in the world right now. He won FNCS Grand Finals on NA Central last season. He has something like $140,000 earned at 15 years old using these settings, and look at this. He comes down here to where it says use advanced options. He turns this off. Then what he does is he sets his look sensitivity to 6, his aim sensitivity to 2, he sets his build multiplier to 1.9 and his edit multiplier to 2.0. He comes down to his dead zone, sets his dead zones at 6%. He uses the DualSense Edge, so he has his trigger releases at 25%, and he sets his tweak zone aiming and tweak zone building to off. He does not use tweak zone, and I'm just gonna play some of Curve's clips because look at how insane his aim is with these controller settings. I obviously knew he was a controller pro, and to do that you have to be insanely good at the game, but I never actually knew how accurate his aim is. And the craziest part is these clips I'm showing you right now aren't like his highlight plays. If you go and watch his Twitch, he's literally doing this multiple times every single game. Like, his aim is consistently this accurate. So if his aim can be that good on these settings, I think a lot of people's aim could get that good on these settings. But another one of the best controller players in the world is Reed, and these are actually Reed's settings. Reed, like most pro controller players, turns on use advanced options. He sets his build and edit multipliers to 1.7, and when you do this, this actually grays out these top 2 sensitivities, which is fine because these are no longer in effect, so you don't need to change those. For his look sense, he goes 50% on horizontal, 60% on vertical with 0 boost. For his ADS sense, he goes 16% on both horizontal and vertical with, again, no boost, and a scope speed multiplier of 1x. He has no look taming time. He plays on exponential look input curve, which if you copy Reed's settings, you must also play on exponential, otherwise don't copy these settings. I'll show you some linear settings next. But Reed then also sets all of his dead zones to 5%, but he also uses a scuff controller that has these instant tap clicky triggers. So with these triggers, the trigger release doesn't actually matter, which is why he has them all the way down, but 5% dead zones for Reed as well. I use these settings. These are my personal settings that I think are the best. Slide hold time of 0.09, pitch 0.1, vibrations turned off, down to build and edit multipliers 2.1x on both of these. To look sensitivity 42% on both horizontal and vertical with no boost whatsoever, instant boost when building turned off. For ADS, 7% on horizontal, 9% on vertical, no boost whatsoever, a scope speed multiplier of 1x. These settings will only work if you're on linear. Linear is what I prefer. Both my stick dead zones are 8% because I have TMR thumbsticks in this. My triggers are obviously the mouse clicks, so I also use 5%, and I do use controller tweak zone aiming. I have tweak zone aiming turned always on, tweak zone building turned off, tweak zone at 60%, tweak offset at 1. I experimented for an entire day playing on different tweak zone settings, and these are what I found to be the most comfortable, most consistent, most accurate tweak zone aiming settings. And so I've now been playing on them for almost 3 weeks, and my aim has never been more accurate than it is now. If you haven't actually heard about what tweak zone is yet, this is essentially what it is. When you're aiming, you can slightly move your crosshair without your character moving. This means when you're tracking players through the air, you can quickly adjust to make those micro adjustments. And instead of having your character and camera moving around like this, all you're focused on is dialing in those super tiny micro adjustments, and it actually works so well. Usually on controller, it's hard to hit those long range shots, but now ever since I put in these tweak zone settings, I've not been nervous to take those long range shots because I know I can hit hit them. You can apply the same thing to actually your building and editing, but I think it feels really awkward on building and I don't think it's as good. However, for the aiming, I have it always on. So this means whether I'm scoped in, it doesn't matter what kind of weapon I have, a sniper, a pistol, a shotgun, if I'm aimed in, this is active. And even when I'm not aimed in, it's still active. When you're just playing around with this setting, it seems like this, when you're not ADS, would not be good. It seems like it might throw you off. But when I turn my tweak zone to always be on, so even my non-ADS shotgun aim still had tweak zone, my shotgun aim got even better than it was before. It's something about just being able to make those tiny micro adjustments. It just feels good. It makes sense. I hit more headshots because of it. Subscribe if this video helped you. Click here if you want to see my Unreal speedrun on PS5. I played PS5 with the Scuff Omega, hit Unreal. Or click here if you want to see what the pro controller settings of every pro controller player in the world are. I showed off their controllers, their setups, their settings. I exposed absolutely everything. So click one of those videos, check them out, and thank you so much for watching.